I need to share the screen. Still cannot. I cannot share the screen.
Try it again. That was my fault.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
I kept thinking, why can't he share the screen?
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 6 of our course, Historical Background of Buddhist Culture. I hope you are all doing well. In our previous class yesterday, we examined Buddhism and human rights, asking how Buddhist principles such as compassion, nonviolence, equality, reciprocal responsibility, and human dignity can enter into conversation with modern ideas of human rights. Today, we continue the discussion, but we move into another very important dimension. uh, so, how Buddhism expresses itself through language, art, and architecture, and how Buddhist traditions have historically approached gender and gender roles. These topics may at least find different, quite different from one another, actually. Language concerns words and meanings, art concerns images, symbols, monuments, and beauty, and gender concerns social identity, and so religious participation and historical roles also, yet they are also closely connected. Uh, all these show us an important principle of this course. Buddhism has never existed only as an abstract philosophy. Once the Dhamma entered human dignity, it had to be well spoken in languages, represented through symbols and artistic forms, embodied in institutions, and lived within particular societies. So, today I would like to distinguish carefully between the Dhamma itself and the historical cultures through which the Dhamma has been expressed. Sometimes culture practice beautifully explains. Uh, so it communicates Buddhist values. At other times, historical customs may reflect the social assumptions of a particular period rather than a timeless Buddhist principle. So, this distinction will be especially important when we discuss gender. We should avoid two extremes. We should neither assume that every historical Buddhist practice is automatically identical with the Buddhist teaching, nor impose modern categories upon ancient texts without understanding their historical setting. So, our task as students of Buddhist culture is to examine the evidence carefully and sympathetically and critically. And also, I would like to mention today's material is especially relevant to questions, exam questions, number 2 and 4. As you listen, therefore, keep asking, how did Buddhism shape culture? How did culture shape the historical expression of Buddhism? And how can foundational Buddhist principles help us evaluate issues of equality, identity, communication, and social life today? With that framework in mind, let us briefly introduce the 4 readings assigned for today's class. Okay, so before starting, I would also like to ask, we all have language, right? um, what kind of languages do you have? How many languages actually do you speak apart from your mother tongue? Can you tell me how many languages do you speak? Okay.
I'm a pretty typical American. I speak almost entirely just English. I know a little Spanish and a little Dutch, and that's about it.
Oh wow, you speak Spanish and Dutch also.
Very
Very
little.
good. Okay.
Like Tom, I speak a little German and a little Spanish.
Okay.
I am fluent in English, obviously, American Sign Language and Spanish. I know a little bit of Japanese from fighting judo for the last 10 years, but nothing that really works well outside of the judo mat.
Okay. Nice. You speak Japanese?
Just,
Um,
just,
ちょっ
just
と、
enough.
ちょっとわかりません。
yeah, for me, it's just Arabic, English, and my minor in college was Japanese, and I studied some Chinese, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you speak Japanese, I mean Chinese, you can speak to billion over people.
That's the idea, but I'm still failing, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
I speak Sinhala and English alphabet.
Okay. Sinhala and English. Yeah.
Yes.
I studied in India. I was there for 10 years. So I had the opportunity to speak that language. And because of Hindi language, but before that, I also learned Pali and Sanskrit and English and little bit of Tamil. So Hindi actually gave me a lot of opportunities to understand many other regional languages, like the people in Pakistan, they speak Urdu, but I think it is more closer to Hindi. And people in Bangladesh and West Bengal, they speak Bengali, and I kind of understand when they speak too, mostly. So it's very helpful. And yeah, I also a little bit of learned a little bit of Chinese and Japanese. Yeah, so apart from my mother tongue, Sinhala, yeah, quite a few languages I learned, and that was really helpful. So, what do we use the language for? Why do we use a language?
Primarily for communication and expression.
Yeah. And Jennifer, you said you also learned sign language.
I'm a sign language interpreter during the day.
That's great. So, sign language is an international language, right? No?
No, most countries have their own. There are some that are mutually intelligible. I can understand Filipino Sign Language very well because it built from American Sign Language. There's a couple of countries in Africa that use American Sign Language and some parts of Canada that use American Sign Language. Outside of that, most places have their own individual sign languages, even in places that are very close to one another. France has its own, England has its own, Germany has its own, and they are not mutually intelligible.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. So, even animals speak, right? They have their own language. I'm sure when you have, if you are a puppy lover or a cat lover, you know how to speak with them.
Yeah,
Yesterday, I
surely.
heard,
Yeah.
yesterday I heard from someone here that the cat wags its tail when it is a little bit of angry, not happy, and the dog wags its tail when it is happy. And dogs knows also know how to smile, and they know how to get their work done, and many other languages. The other animals also they speak many different languages. Have you seen the elephants? Yeah, how they speak. Like sometimes they shake their heads. Um, Very interesting. When they shake their head and they are happy, and also they can kind of sing, and a lot of things are done by this wonderful animal. So I think um, every animal, birds, they also speak, and it's really wonderful how they communicate with each other. Bees, they speak, and the ants, they also speak. For example, do you know ant is a very interesting um, creatures actually, and can lift 50 times larger than his body. And also there are transporters, there are communicators, like all different um, departments they have. They have different portfolios, different ministries. Very interesting. And some just go find the food and how they communicate with the others. And then the transporters would come and take the food back to their, caves. And then the bees also do the same, and they communicate with the other fellow bees when they find something, some nectar. And similarly, many other animals would speak the same. I remember one incident when I was in India. One time in New Delhi city, I saw like a monkey was knocked down by a car, and there were hundreds of, maybe thousands of monkeys. Not much time, and within a short period of time, there were hundreds and thousands of monkeys. How they communicate with each other? They don't have WhatsApp, they don't have email, they don't have social media, and yet they somehow know how to communicate with their own community. That's really, really amazing. And I remember we have seen, um, like in our country, we have crows. I think it is raven here, right? So that crow is little smaller than here. There are actually two variations. Like in the village areas, we have a bigger one, more darker, and in the cities they are smaller and a little bit lighter. And if one crow dies, so many crows come and pay respect to their fellow departed one. And similarly, I saw those the monkeys. They all came and just sniffed a little bit and paid their respect. They were like emotionally little bit restless when they came to their fellow friend when he passed away, and how they paid respect to their um, monkey. That's really, really amazing. I have seen. I actually attended the funeral of an elephant. That's when I was very little. In Sri Lanka, in the past, we used to have 20,000 elephants, and right now I think maybe around 5,000 or less. And they are huge tourist attractions. When I was little, in my hometown, we had one elephant died, and so another elephant was taken. The help of another elephant was sought to bring the dead body to a grave. Those days, I don't think we had those sophisticated machines. So it was the another elephant that was taken to pull the body to a grave. And that time, I clearly saw, even though I was very little, I clearly saw tears falling through the eyes of the other elephant. That was really heart melting, really um, very interesting story. So many animals, they know how to speak. They have their own language, how to speak, which is very powerful language actually. But still, they although they communicate with each other, still they are not able to speak of their own past, right? They can speak their own past, or they can speak about the future, they kind of find a little bit more like very simple. Sometimes when let's say a dog dies and other dogs would come and also pay respect, and it's only for a while they have that, and they might go away um, without much. I know some actually can have very difficult situations. Even they have heart attack. I heard. Even in the Buddhist life story, we have heard his horse Kantaka when Siddhartha renounced the worldly life and asked his charioteer Channa to take the Kantaka back to the king. That time, uh, Kantaka was very upset and very sad, and he died of a heart attack, apparently. So things like that can happen to animals too. Compared to all these animals, humans have such complicated, such sophisticated, advanced tool called language. And what we can do really, I think, is the difference between us and these animals. Like that is why we can control the world today. We can communicate with sophisticated um, communication systems, and also we can learn from our own past. Like, and we can read the history through the language. Because of the language, we can learn many things. What happened like 1,000 years ago, we can read through our history, and this is very important. And we have art, architectures, then paintings and sculptures and statues and other buildings, many infrastructures, irrigation systems, all these things of our own um, man-made creations are actually telling us a lot of things. And through the language, thanks to the language, we can learn so many things. So that is why language is such an important part of our life. Um, now speaking a language can be also very interesting because, as many of you said, you know how to speak a language, and maybe more than one language. And many of our mother tongue, we never made any attempt to learn, right? We just learned. Anyone who is born into this world can easily and naturally pick up their own mother tongue, which is very interesting. So after that, like if the child is able to, expose himself or herself to some other languages, this is the best time to learn more languages. I know for example, in India, mostly people can speak 3 languages. One Hindi language, and then it's like the lingua franca, the connecting communication with, like most of the people know that language. And then many children, they also have their own local language. And apart from that, English is actually the most commonly used language. So um, many big cities, they have the children with access to at least 3 languages. When you are exposed to more languages in your childhood, that means your brain is very much refined and kind of improve your analytical capacity, because you have to switch between quite a few languages. So it's a very interesting story about how languages can be like learned by the children, because we have like neuroplasticity, and we have so much capacity in our brain to absorb things. So if the child is exposed to quite a few languages at the very beginning, not only their intellectual capacity and analytical capacity will be improved, but also personality and many other things can also be improved. So very important, the functioning of the language. So language is a fundamental aspect of human communication and cognition, yet its relationship with reality is a subject of significant philosophical inquiry. You can say Buddhism, with its nuanced approach to the nature of reality and the limits of verbal expression, offers profound insight into the nature of language. This is when we talk about the language, its limitations and in representing reality, and the role of language in conveying Buddhist teachings, and the ethical considerations surrounding linguistic expressions can be accessible. And we talk about language, and one time the Buddha said, Sakaya Nirutya, that is a Pali word. He said you should teach the Dhamma in your own local language, your own native language. So Sakaya Nirutti is a very interesting term in Buddhism that is probably one reason that many people from around the world have been able to use their own local language. Do you know Pali language doesn't have a script of its own? It doesn't have a script. So Pali language that way has been that alphabet, for example, is used or written by many other different languages. Like in here, we can see Pali through Roman script, and if you go to Thailand, it is in Thai script. If you go to India, it is in Hindi script. If you go to Sri Lanka, it is Sinhala script, and many other countries, they have their own language, their own script to write the Pali language. That's also very interesting. And then Southern school of Buddhism, or the early Theravada Buddhism, they used Pali language as the medium of communication, whereas the Northern school or the Mahayana Buddhism, they used Sanskrit language as their medium of communication. So those two languages became very popular in Buddhist countries. So even though in Sri Lanka we have Theravada Buddhism, we still learned Sanskrit language and Pali language together. That is also very interesting. And let me also ask you, like when you observe precepts, what is the precept that is related to speech? Do you know that? The fourth precept.
No lying.
Yeah, no lying, right? Apart from no lying, no false speech, I undertake the precept to abstain from false speech. You can also actually connect with the other connected speeches like harsh speech, slandering, and frivolous speech or gossip or unwanted speech. These are also like four kinds of speech. In Noble Eightfold Path, there is another word related to this speech. What is that?
Right
In Noble,
speech.
right speech, yes. Right speech or Samma Vacha. So abstain from false speech, abstain from harsh speech, abstain from slandering, and abstain from frivolous or speech or gossip. So, in Buddhism, we can say language. In Buddhism, language is recognized as a tool with inherent limitations when it comes to capturing the essence of reality. Just like communicating ideas, values, and teachings, the Buddha himself acknowledged the constraints of linguistic expression in conveying the profound nature of enlightenment and the ultimate truth of Nibbana. See, we have to express, talk about the Nibbana, enlightenment. So even without attaining Nibbana, we explain about Nibbana. That is kind of funny. So, and also like many different teachers, they explain in many different ways, and many different disciples understand in many different ways too. So one thing is the way you speak, the way you express, and then the other thing is the way you understand. So all depends on. There are limitations of language, right? And according to Buddhist teachings, the ultimate reality is beyond conceptualization and cannot be fully captured by words. David Kalupahana, have you heard of David Kalupahana? He actually speaks about, he's a very noted scholar on Buddhist philosophy. He emphasizes that the difficulties which faced the Buddha in the task of setting out his novel teachings could have been numerous, and among these difficulties, one was certainly the poverty of language available to convey the precise meaning which he had in mind. This recognition of the limitations of language is rooted in the Buddhist understanding that reality transcends conceptual and verbal descriptions. Consider the analogy of trying to explain the taste of sugar to someone who has never tasted sweetness. So sometimes it is like that. We have never tasted sotapan, and then we also try to explain that, right? So no matter how detailed the description, the person cannot fully grasp the experience without tasting it. This analogy illustrates the inherent limitations of language in conveying direct experiential knowledge. The Buddha addressed this issue by emphasizing experiential understanding. where direct personal experience provides a deeper insight than mere verbal explanation. Okay. Can words fully represent reality? That is why. Do you want to use that? So that is something we really have to also understand. It's very difficult because it is something like the nirvana or the nibbana. Enlightenment is something like unconditioned, and we try to express that in a very limited capacity of a language. And then we also have see different languages, like trying to when we translate from one language to another, that's another a very difficult task. For example, Pali language was basically used in the cultural settings in Asia, mostly South Asia. And when it comes to the Western context, translating some of those words can be very difficult. But we also borrow sometimes some of the words. For example, over here in um, in the in the West, like the religious institutions, they use robe, monk, temple, all these words. So we have to borrow these words from that religious background, and we can very clearly see. Similarly, when they go to Asia, they borrow our language. So kind of we have to exchange these things. Still, it's very hard to explain. Can you tell me one or two words in Buddhism that is very hard to translate? Any words?
Nibbana.
Nibbana, yes.
It
Samadhi.
means so many things in different languages.
Yeah.
Samadhi.
Samadhi, okay.
Jhana.
Dhyana, okay.
I'm so sorry. I had a kid in my ear. Can you repeat the question?
I mean, there are many technical jargon in Buddhism that is very difficult to translate. So sometimes you want to keep the original word. If you want to translate, you can still do it, but maybe you have to keep it. Maybe I personally prefer if you use some words like karma, maybe you want to use action or something, which doesn't really give the original meaning. So it's better to have, if you want to say action, maybe within parenthesis you use karma. And if you use suffering, you may use the word dukkha, because suffering doesn't give the full meaning. Very difficult to translate something like that so easily. Yeah. So kamma, dhamma, nibbana, dukkha, and yeah, some of these words can be hard to translate. Anyway, despite its limitations, language plays a crucial role in Buddhism, particularly in the transmission of teaching and ethical principles. The Buddha used language skillfully to communicate his insights and guide followers towards liberation. The Buddhist scriptures, such as the Tipitaka, the three canonical baskets, are rich with the teachings and discourses aimed at helping practitioners understand the nature of suffering and the path to enlightenment. The Buddha's use of language was not just about imparting knowledge, but also about guiding ethical conduct and mental development. For example, the five precepts in Buddhism. Um, they are expressed through language to promote ethical behavior and mental discipline. These precepts include refraining from killing, refraining from stealing, and sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxication. Oh, can you hear me? Sorry.
We had this happen last night,
Oh,
and yeah, there's something to do with the connection between Zoom and the device.
oh. Is that okay now?
I think she logged. I told her to log out and then log back in.
You want me to log back in?
No, it's between that person and Zoom, between their device and Zoom. I had this happen last night. Okay, now she's coming back in.
Sage, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Sage, can you hear now? Sage, are you able to hear us? Yes, she can hear. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I closed it out and restarted my Zoom. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Sorry about the inconvenience. Okay. So the five precepts in Buddhism are expressed through language to promote ethical behavior and mental discipline. So anyone can actually speak their own ways of languages. And today we heard Jennifer, like how sign language can be used. I was wondering actually if we have sign language to teach the Dhamma. I have that's interesting actually. I have never heard of that though, but that's a very good point. And also, she said sign language is different from country to country too. That's again very interesting. So the verbal formulation of these precepts is essential for their practice and understanding, even though the ultimate understanding of ethical conduct may involve more than just following words. So, then the metaphor, role of metaphor and analogy. If you see the limitations of direct verbal expression, the Buddha frequently employed metaphors and also analogies to convey complex spiritual truths. Do you remember any of such figurative expressions that the Buddha has used? I think it should be in every school of Buddhism. They have this beautiful figurative language.
Like the story of the snake.
Yes, story of the snake. In Pali, it is called Alagaddu Pamasutta, right? So over here, the snake should be captured by the right place, otherwise it would bite you back. Similarly, the Dhamma should be captured the right way, otherwise Dhamma itself can be toxic. Sometimes you see the religion, uh, the so-called religious people, they fight with each other, which is quite contrasting, quite opposing the ideology of the founder. So we cannot fight with other people just because of your own religion. We can't underestimate or we can disrespect the others because of your own religion. So some of these things is, I think, very nicely explained through this. What are the other metaphors that you find? Lotus, right? What does lotus mean? What does lotus mean?
And I'll speak on that. In my view, based on what I've heard lectured and read, lotus basically means that we can, even though we have our own nature intrinsically, there are things about our nature that we can change and improve upon, no matter what environment we come from. That's what I take from it.
Okay.
Is it Buddha nature?
Buddha nature. Yeah. So the lotus start from the mud, right? So just like the normal society, all of us, this is like a fertile muddy pond. And then many different lotuses starts to grow, and then you can see how they come, and maybe some of the lotuses at the very beginning they die. They can't even come out. And some of them come to the middle of the water and they die. And some of them would come just next to the surface of the water and they would die. And some of them will, a few, only a few out of the many, that would come all the way up to the surface of the water and beautifully blossom. And then it radiates that beautiful, powerful, positive energy, that vibration, that positive, wholesome vibe that fully blossomed lotus gives is truly incredible. And just like that, it is said the Arahant, the liberated one, they come from that muddy pond. And then all the way up to the surface of the water without touching the dirt, they can stay above the water, above the mud, and they can radiate the powerful energy. So many metaphors are there in Buddhism. Most of the suttas, if you go through Dhammapada is a treasure trove of such similes, metaphors, and such beautiful figurative expressions. The Puppa Varga, for example, completely dedicated to all kinds of flowers. And many stanzas all throughout the discourses we can actually find it. So these figurative expressions serve to bridge the gap between the conventional language and the ineffable nature of ultimate reality. sometimes when the Buddha was trying to explain a very profound theory, he would always use such metaphors, and that really makes things much easier for us. So, for example, the Buddha often used the analog such as the finger pointing at the moon to indicate that teachings are not the ultimate truth, but tools to guide practitioners towards direct experience. The artist we have seen has also used so many expressions of the Buddha. His gestures, what we call mudra, hand postures, sometimes earth-touching mudra, sometimes abhaya mudra, many like Dhamma Chakra Mudra, like untying the knot, many wonderful expressions by the artists are also there. And in the in the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha used the metaphor of a raft to illustrate the role of teachings. So Buddha said the Dhamma is like a raft. Kullupamango bhikkhave dhammang desisami nitharanataya no gahanataya. So that means kullu means raft. Raft, Dhamma is like a raft. Raft is used to cross the river. Raft is used to cross the river. Once you cross the river, you don't carry the raft on your shoulder. You leave it behind so that the other people can use. And similarly, the Dhamma is used to cross the Sansaric river. And once it is done, you can even leave the Dhamma. This is very powerful metaphor again. So you can see many such wonderful similes and metaphors used throughout the Buddhist canonical literature. So just as the raft is used to cross a river, but is not meant to be carried on one's back after reaching the other shore, so too other teachings meant to be used to achieve liberation, but not clung to once the goal is reached. This metaphor highlights the provisional nature of language and teachings, reinforcing that they are instrumental in to be transcended in the pursuit of ultimate understanding. Okay. So we also can see the ethical guidelines for speech. Buddha used also addresses the ethical dimensions of language use. He placed a great emphasis on truthful and mindful speech. The right use of language is crucial for ethical conduct, what we call sila, and the development of wisdom, what we call bhavana. In the Dhammapada, again, it is stated, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. Sahas sampiche vacha anatta pada sanghita ekang vacha satang seyo. Something like that. In that stanza, the Buddha said, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. This underscores the importance of using language not only to convey truth, but also to promote harmony and understanding. So the ethical guidelines for speech in Buddhism includes abstaining from lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle chatter. Musavada, Pisunavacha, Parusavacha, and Sampappalapa. So the Buddha's teachings on right speech are designed to cultivate mindfulness and integrity in communication, recognizing that words have the power to both harm and heal. So, in conclusion, we can see this is the 5 precepts as verbal guidance: refrain from killing, refrain from stealing, refrain from sexual misconduct, refrain from poor speech, and refrain from intoxication. So the point here is the ethical life begins with understanding, but it must be lived in practice. So 5 precepts are practiced mostly as verbal guidance. Every single day, if you are a follower of the Buddhism, you have to observe these precepts. This is how you continue to do it. You have to verbally express this thing. You have to make a vow to practice these things. These are not simple things, actually. These are very, very powerful practices, like not killing anyone, not even a bug, not even a mosquito. It's not so easy. Stealing, it could be stealing many things. And even by word, by thought, by action, you can also work on that. Sexual misconduct, again, it could also be related to 5 senses, sensual pleasures. And for speech, again, very powerful. You become a truthful and honorable person when you refrain from false speech. And intoxication, definitely, is a very serious thing and such an important thing for our life if we refrain from drinks and drugs that cause intoxication or heedlessness. So the Buddhist perspective on language provides a nuanced understanding of its role and limitations in representing reality. While language is an essential tool for communication and the transmission of teachings, um, the it is also recognized as inherently limited in capturing the full essence of limited reality. The Buddha's use of language through skillful expression and the employment of metaphors um, reflects an awareness of these limitations and a commitment to guiding practitioners towards direct experience and ethical conduct. The ethical considerations surrounding language use further emphasize the importance of mindfulness and truthfulness in communication. Ultimately, the Buddhist view highlights the complex interplay between language and reality, acknowledging both its potential and its constraints in the pursuit of wisdom and liberation. So, this is a little bit of overview of Buddhist perspective on language, addressing its limitations, its role in conveying teachings, and the ethical considerations associated with its use. It reflects the complex interplay between language and reality in Buddhist thought and underscores the importance of both direct experience of and mindful communication in the pursuit of wisdom. Okay, so that's a little bit about the language. Going back. Yeah, this one, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. So over here we can see quality matters more than quantity. Speech should reduce suffering. Language should support wisdom, compassion, and harmony. Sahasampiteva cha anattapada sanghita. And so we can see language is necessary, but again, it is limited. Direct experience is definitely deeper than verbal explanation. Sometimes we can also see, for example, after COVID, we started like online teaching, and then it was far more different than in-person teaching. Even this one is online teaching, but I think it is so much, we are kind of not so connected well enough, where we can't even see each other most of the time. I don't even see many of you as I am using the PowerPoint here. And also that connection is a little bit different. So teaching in person can be very different. So again, language and the communication, direct experience is again deeper. I think, for example, Ajahn Chah was a very versatile Buddhist teacher in Thailand. He was in a very remote countryside in Thailand. He didn't even spoke the mainstream Thai language. It was a dialect in a rural area. But again, somehow, many Westerners, they found him so fascinating. They went to his monastery, and they were living with him. And even though he wouldn't speak any English word, somehow these people were able to grasp what a powerful teaching that he had. The way he was walking, the way he was teaching, the way he was eating, the way he was meditating. They learned many things through that direct experience. So also later on, they learned his own language. Many Westerners they made an effort to learn that language, and eventually Ajahn Chah's teachings became so popular in the West. Some of those great teachers, like here we have Ajahn Thanissaro, Bhikkhu Thanissaro, Ajahn Jeff, and also I think in Australia we have Ajahn Brahmo also. Many other wonderful Buddhist teachers in the West, they have been benefited by Ajahn Chah's teaching. Similarly, many other Sinhala Buddhist monks are there. They can't speak English. Sometimes many people from Germany, I know, they love to go to Sri Lanka, and there were many Buddhist scholars, scholarly monks and practitioner monks like Jnana Ponika, Bhikkhu Jnana Atiloka, and many German monks have been to. Also, some monks from Europe, they have visited Sri Lanka. Like Bhikkhu Bodhi also stayed there for 24 years, long time. He had to come back because of his persistent migraine problem. So again, the language, the teaching skills, and the metaphors guiding understanding, ethical speech, they are all part of the language. So those are some of the takeaways. And maybe we can discuss this question. Now, how can language guide us towards truth without being mistaken for truth itself? Okay, now over to you.
I think
Can you
just
re-explain
from
the question? I'm sorry, I just don't understand the question.
Okay. So, how can language guide us toward truth without being mistaken for truth itself? Language. So, when someone speaks something and the others understand something else, right?
Yes, now I get it. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted someone, so maybe you can go.
I think how language can guide us toward truth without being mistaken for truth itself is that we follow the precepts and follow the I think just checking in with ourselves that we are using our own language in that with the love and compassion, in seeking the truth from others as well, without misunderstanding and then creating something in our own truth that's not even true. So I think that's the way I'm understanding that question.
Okay.
Just being more curious, I think, being more curious and coming from a loving compassion heart, when being trying to be understanding of another person that's trying to explain their own truth in through that language.
Hmm. Yes.
I don't know if it really pertains to the question or not, because it really has, when we're talking about language, we're talking about, a sender and a receiver, right? So there's a two-way communication. And so the receiver, even though the receiver isn't speaking the words, the receiver should be examining what those words are and not just take them at face value. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
One thing, language can guide us to a truth, but only when it is used with wisdom, mindfulness, and ethical intention. Truth is subtle, and language is only a tool, a powerful one, but it's still a tool. Language was begin with a clear intention. We call in Pali Chetana. Truthful speech start in the mind. If the intention is to clarify, to understand, to help, to express reality, then language become a path to truth.
Mm-hmm. Remember, Dalai Lama said, love is my religion.
Yeah, yes.
Tom, do you have to say something?
Yeah, I guess as I'm thinking about this question, I think particularly as somebody who in my position, I'm approaching all this from the standpoint of someone who is not currently a Buddhist, and it is, I think it's easy from that perspective to fall into the idea that the truths or the essence of Buddhism can be captured in a book or an article or a treatise of some sort, and so I think that is precisely the mistake that is being referred to on the slide, that that the teachings and so on are helpful tools, perhaps to guide one towards practice and reflection and that kind of thing. But the truth itself is not in the words that guide you; it's in the experience that results from the practice and the reflection.
Yeah. So like nowadays we talk about AI. So how I think did you listen to the Elon Musk interview? uh, that's recently I watched that, actually interesting. So he says in the next 10 years or so, machines will take over humans. And it's kind of like really amazing. Like if these things happen, there is a possibility, actually. Um, um, AI and AI generated things, how they have so much taken over humans. And eventually, if something happened to us, like the drone, now the war is happened through the drones, right? And so much is happening. So we humans have kind of losing the battle in a way. If that happens, that can be very, very dangerous. Over here, the words, of course, when you talk about the language, words and then the understanding, right? If someone tells a story and there are 10 people, let's say, and all the 10 people will understand the same story in different ways, right? Depending on their own capacity. And then the same thing, like when we teach the Dhamma. And for example, I teach the Dhamma the way I understand. And I don't know if I can translate my thoughts into words. And I don't even know if it is transmitted to the audience correctly. It is said the Buddha had that capacity, and he had an amazing ability to actually trace the audience personal files in the samsara. Just like the AI technology, and Buddha could go scan throughout their samsaric habits, what kind of practices that person has done in the past. And so he could address immediately. If AI can also find something in a fraction of a second, so the Buddha could do it with human mind power much faster than that. So very interesting. And so he could help. He could read the other's mind, and accordingly he could teach the Dhamma. But when we speak, like over here, we have like 11 people here. So everyone is different. Everyone's attention is different. Everyone's focus is different. Everyone's capacity is different, right? So words, understanding, and practice, and then direct experience and eventual wisdom. You can see that that thread. Just like that simile of the taste of sugar, right? Let's say I'm explaining something that I have tasted sugar. None of you has ever tasted sugar, and I'm explaining it. And I don't know if you can understand it or not. That's so interesting. So language can be very misleading at times. It could, but we can use words to describe a path and clarify ideas and correct misunderstandings and direct our attention to what should be examined. Our language should not be mistaken for truth itself again, because it depends on knowing a description is not the same as directly experiencing what the description points to. For example, when you read a sutta, okay, you read Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Satya Sutta, Anatta Lakkana Sutta, Aditya Pariyaya Sutta. These are really powerful suttas. And if you read it and you grasp it and then you practice, and then it is a totally different experience. You read the Satipatthana Sutta and you practice it. It could be totally different from your knowledge. When you practice, you sit on the cushion experience is so much different from off the cushion experience. And like the reading the book, reading the sutta can be way more different than we understand it. So see, it is these are the some things that we need to um, actually take into consideration. Same thing applies to Dhamma, right? The Buddha used words extensively, teachings, dialogues, classifications, similes, and instructions. But these words function as guides to practice and realization. Buddha said the Nibbana or the enlightenment is within. So I cannot explain my Nibbana to you, and you cannot, 100% take that into you, because your Nibbana can be different. Your maturity can be different. Your capacity can be different. So you need to find your own Nibbana, as he said. And then you find different ways. Probably the final outcome will be the same, but the way you achieve can be different. So just as body feeling, thoughts, and experiences can be different, and similarly the raft simile, I think very important. Person uses a raft to cross a river, and then eventually he has to take it, leave it behind. So in the same way, teachings and concepts and are just instruments. The teachings and concepts are just instruments that help us move from confusion towards understanding. So from darkness to the light, we can use the Dhamma. They should be used skillfully rather than clung to as absolute objects. I think it's very, very important to have, like when you approach the Dhamma, we have to kind of get rid of certain fixation. Because if you have a fixation, it is difficult for you to get rid of it. You already have a different lenses. You have to remove those lenses, and then you can see the truth as it is. Many of us actually think, oh, I know the Dhamma, or this is my version is the right one. You already have come to a final conclusion. That way, it's not going to work. We have to be flexible. We have to be open. We have to be ready to learn our own mistake in all circumstances. That I think is very important. So I think language in Buddhism is like a signpost. A sign saying New York 10 miles can direct you toward New York. But the sign itself is not New York, right? Likewise, Buddhist teachings point toward reality, but the practitioner must eventually see and experience the reality directly. That is the meaning of saying that language can lead us toward truth without being confused with the truth itself. Okay, so let us take a break with that contemplation. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Now, I have shared with you some articles. Maybe let me share the instructions. Maybe we can, you can discuss. This is also very important. Here. So here we can see, okay, briefly explain this, the activity verbally. So this is group discussion and language and reality, how language can guide towards guide towards the truth without being mistaken for truth itself. And group 2, how did Buddhist art and architecture help transform Buddhism into a living cultural tradition? And number 3, gender roles and equality. How can we distinguish between Buddhist principles and historical cultural attitude towards gender? These are the 3 groups that I would like to actually set up today. Just these 3. And let me share it here. Okay. So although there are 4 articles, you can select accordingly, but we can actually use in the 3 groups. We have 11 people, right? I think there was another person before. Who's that? Lalit Kumar, is he there? I saw him before. Okay. Right. So please consider and let me make groups first.
Just as a note, as someone who uses Zoom a lot, once we move into the breakout rooms, we will no longer have access to this chat. So maybe click on each of those links and copy the group notes now, or you won't see them when we're in the group.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you, because I also don't know what happens to you when you are in the group. I was not in a group. Okay. Thank you for pointing it out. Please, maybe I can also share this in the WhatsApp group if you want, if all of you are there. I could do that. Okay. Anyway, please copy paste this and let's see which group Maybe Kat, probably you have to include yourself. Let me see now. Not Tom
Yeah, I just have to join one of the groups.
Okay.
Which one would you like me to go in?
Okay, let me say Nat and Tom and Yihuan in room number one. Room number one means group one. And Abdullah, Sage, and Xiaonan in group two. And Jennifer, John, and Pami Buddhist Vihara. That is the Venerable from New Zealand. So you will be in room number three. That is group three.
Okay.
Okay. So please select your topic. And Kat, you can join maybe group two or three. Oh,
I can do 3.
okay.
Okay.
So we will have let me before going there. So you will have 10 minutes to discuss and also bring everyone back. Maybe like we will have you come out after maybe 15 minutes should be a better idea, right? Because this is the whole article. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, Bante, but Sage Lake said she lost her audio, so maybe we should let her sign out and sign back in before we start the group so she doesn't miss out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
she's
she
doing
here?
that now.
Sage
She's
is
signing
here.
out.
Sage
She's
is signing
signing
out.
out and then signing back in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, she couldn't hear us just say that. I didn't even think about that.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you. Is she back?
What did I see? Oh, there she is. Okay, hold on. She's
Okay.
coming in. Is joining. Okay. How are you, Sage?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
so now we have 3 breakout rooms, and you have like 15 minutes and discuss your assigned topic for about 10 minutes and choose one person to share your group's main insight when we return. Okay, so if you like, of course, you can assign more than one person, but at least one person should be the main spokesperson for your group. Okay. And so language and reality, Buddhist art and architecture, gender roles and equality will be the topics that you will cover. All right. So we'll see you. Let me actually.
I posted the topics in WhatsApp.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I have set up as 15 minutes. So countdown timer 60 seconds and you will be there. All right. Oh, Lalit also is there. Hello, Lalit. Okay. Maybe I will also include him. Okay. All right. I will add Lalit later on, I think. Okay. Okay. Good luck and see you in 15 minutes. Cat.
Yeah, somehow I didn't get the pop-up. Let me see here if that's,
Hmm.
oh, here we go, breakout rooms. I got it.
Okay, so I added Lalit to group 1
Okay,
and Sage to room 2, and you can join either 1 or 2. You said 2 or 3. You said 3, right?
yeah,
Okay.
that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, here I go.
Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back. Okay, can you all please open your camera if possible? We will take a group photo first. Jennifer, is that your daughter?
That is my shadow.
Okay. Okay, Yishuan, are you there? Maybe we'll take a group photo, okay? Yeah, you
We can
can.
take the group photo.
Yes, please.
I'm not able to take it.
Okay, anyone who can do it, do
Thank you,
it.
Jennifer.
And
Jennifer
Yeah.
volunteered.
I got it, and I'll drop it in the chat. And then I think I can actually connect my phone to the WhatsApp, or my computer to the WhatsApp, I think. I'll figure that out.
okay. So, did you appoint a spokesperson for your group? Okay, group one. You can raise your hand when you are group one, so you will all be up to the top row. I mean, not physically, but in the over here, you can like react. Raise your hand, and you will be on top row. Okay. Only two? Okay. All right. Over to you. We so please explain your topic maybe first, and then your group member, and then over to you to explain what your discussion was about.
All right. Well, for group one, I'll start, and if anybody else from our group wants to chime in, please go for it. So we continued the discussion of this question about how teachings and language can be used as a guide towards the truth without being mistaken for the truth itself. And so we started continuing our discussion with some of the metaphors that help explain this point. We talked again about the example of pointing towards the moon, and the idea that if you focus on the finger pointing towards the moon itself rather than on the moon, then you've missed the point. The finger is only supposed to guide your view toward the moon itself, that being the truth in this case. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked some too about this interesting fact that, particularly in other forms of literature, there can be multiple meanings of the written word. You may interpret it different ways at different times, or two different people may interpret it differently. And at least for other forms of literature, you could argue that there is no single correct interpretation or single correct meaning. And so we talked a little bit about whether or not, or to what extent, that might be true of Buddhist teachings. So we talked some about that as well, and and then talked some as well about the difficulties of then translating a written teaching that is already in its original language, maybe acknowledged to be not totally sufficient at expressing the truth that it's after. So then you add to that the challenge of translating it in other languages, and that's it can just be very very difficult. So pointing towards, again, the need for experiential understanding over relying on the words alone.
Thank you so much. And if anyone in the group has to add something, piggyback, or other people, do you have any question to ask? Or any other comment? All right. So thank you so much, group one. And let's move on to group two now. Please raise your hand and you will be on top. Okay, Abdullah Sage, and with the other. Okay. Xiaonan, are you in group two?
Yeah, we are in group 2.
Okay. Can you raise your hand?
I raised my hand where? How?
Okay.
From the react button.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Here you go.
So in group two, we discussed the impact of the beauty and also of Buddhist culture and architecture. Um, we spoke about the usual ways that we would expect that the art and architecture can express itself, whether it's through statues, stupas, and art also as well, as Buddhism was moving towards as it was spreading and also interacting with other cultures in the Silk Road. But we also discussed from a time of how the when Buddhism is introduced to a culture, how the iconography and how the art is adopted into its own culture and sometimes creates fascinating mixes that we could see in real life to this day. Uh, we also discussed that Buddhist art is not just limited to the iconography that we usually see. For example, Xianan brought up that in China, there was amazing art that you can find in caves and also in some areas that actually teach the Dhamma. And for example, this was interesting to me because in Islamic art, for example, we don't draw. We write, but we don't draw. So it's a really great way to spread and teach the Dhamma as well. We also talked about that even you could find Buddhist culture in popular art and pop art, but also we discussed a few unique examples like that maybe some people would not know. Like, for example, if anybody who knows the Islamic Golden Age well, they would know the round city of Baghdad. And something that not a lot of people know is that the architectural wise for the round city was actually influenced by Buddhism. This is something that not a lot of people know. And for example, and even we think that Buddhist art and influence went even beyond the Silk Road because only recently we discovered a Viking tomb in Sweden that had a Buddhist statue in it, and even multiple tombs that had Buddhist iconography in Viking tombs. So I think from the timelessness perspective, art and architecture for Buddhism really goes far and beyond. That's what we discussed.
Thank you so much. I actually am very happy that Abdullah is in this class. He can
Okay.
also learn many things from you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? The other group members have to add something, or the other people have any question? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on to the other group. Please raise your hand. Okay, Jennifer, Reverend Arivansh, and Kat.
We had one
Okay.
more, John.
John is
Maybe
trying.
if someone else wants to start, sorry.
He's
I think
trying.
John
He's
is
trying.
clapping.
I'm trying. I'll just keep my hand raised the whole time.
Just raise your
See, you can do it. So can somebody help him actually?
Like that guy in India with the skinny arm. I'll
Go
just
to
be here
react,
all
and
night.
you'll
Go to
see all
react.
the icons, and
Okay,
then below it
reactions.
says, and then it says lower hand, up, raise hand.
Oh, it's right there on top.
Oh, there, yeah.
Okay,
There you have it.
thanks.
Okay. So John, would you like to help summarize?
I believe Jennifer volunteered to represent this answer.
Awesome.
I am happy to do so for the next 35 seconds while the child is out of the room. So we discussed gender and how it relates to the Buddhist teachings. So our question read, how can we distinguish between Buddhist principles and historical cultural attitudes toward gender? And we talked a little bit about how at the time that Buddha was giving his teachings, he had to teach the way he teaches us to teach, right? He had to teach people in a language and in a cultural perspective that they would understand. And so he had to explain things to them that matched their own worldview just well enough so that they could absorb it, which meant that at the time, women were not really seen as people who were equal to men. But he did later on, as Kat explained, start to advocate for women to become part of the monastery, to become part of, become nuns or part of the group of people who was also able to teach because a woman came to them, and Kat, you can definitely fill in the blanks there for me, but a woman came to them and said, why can we not be nuns? And so while the Buddha was trying to teach in a way that the people understood, he was also making changes because he pushed others to realize that we need to shift our perspective on women and their capacity to become nuns or to learn the Dharma or to be a part of Buddhist culture. And the other thing that we spoke about was how Buddhism and the Buddha taught or teaches around the concept of non-self. And so as each of us are interconnected and we are all a part of each other and we are all also nothing, we have this non-self, the gender of our current body plays into that, where our every part of ourselves that is part of the concept of non-self fades away, right? We don't worry so much about each individual piece of us because it's all irrelevant in the end, and the gender ties into that as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, anyone else wants to add something? Any more comments? Nothing?
Kat had some really good insights if you want to add a little bit to
Yeah, I think
maybe
that will be
expand.
wonderful. Yeah, please.
Yeah, some of the things that I was reading through the sutras, I was doing a lot of extensive research for my paper, and before yesterday's class, even it was like there was so much information around women and including women. There were even like there was a king that wasn't doing so well, wasn't doing a good job of an inclusion in his kingdom, and he warned him with I think there were 6 things that he warned him about that. But in so many words, you better shape up, or something is not going to be. Your kingdom is not going to be very cohesive any longer. And one of the points was it, especially women, treat the women with respect. And those were the words: treat women with respect. And I guess I kind of I moved toward that only because today we even have like the patriarchal religions that want to place women in a certain role. And women rebel against that, for one. I mean, because they want to be a part of everything. And so I research a lot of that. You know, there was even an article where a woman wrote a Buddhist article on how the Buddha was actually uh, discriminatory towards women. But as I read more about the different times that Buddha was approached and some of the things that were put into order for women, the order of nuns in particular. And it appeared that maybe there was some discrimination there, but it was for the protection of them. And we have to remember that they had no rights in the beginning. So he had to put in special protection for them so that they wouldn't get thrown back into that lower caste system with no rights. And I think he probably did that for anyone in the lower caste so that they would not be trampled upon and missed within the teaching of these great teachings that he wanted for us to learn.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing a fantastic discussion. I hope that was a really, really good one, the group activity thing. It gave you an opportunity to meet each other and also talk to each other and this discussion. Reverend Ariamansa, do you have any question?
No, Bante.
Oh, you still raising your hand, maybe.
Oh, sorry.
So yes, the timeless beauty of Buddhist art and architecture, that is a fascinating subject, of course, in Buddhism. So over here we can see Buddhist art not simply as decoration, but as a visual expression and transmission of the Dhamma. If you go to any Buddhist temple, you can see so many wonderful Buddhist art. Every country, all different cultures, you can see such a beautiful museums or art galleries in Buddhist temples. Actually, um, in Buddhism, we don't actually, in philosophy, we don't actually want to discuss all these things. But art has somehow found a unique way to teach the Dhamma. So it traces the development from aniconic symbolism like the Bodhi tree, lotus, Dhamma wheel, footprints, and stupas, and to later anthropomorphic Buddha images, including the developments associated with Gandhar and Mathura art, as we discussed before. It also introduces Buddha images, stupas, bodhisattvas, mandalas, viharas, temples, pagodas, chaityas, so many things. If you travel to Buddhist countries, some of those Buddhist countries, they have their own unique contributions. If you go to Myanmar, there is a beautiful Swedagon stupa pagoda, and so many hundreds and thousands of Buddhist monuments. If you go to Cambodia, I think Cambodia has the world's largest Buddhist temple, Angkor Wat, and that's itself is such a treasure trove of art. So all these things are there in the Buddhist art. Thailand, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Laos, all those traditional Buddhist countries, they have been there for hundreds of years. There are other countries, they have a lot. And then if you go to mainland China, like I think I really like to visit one day the giant Buddha statue in Sichuan. It's that the whole Buddha statue is a mountain. That's really amazing by the side of a huge river. I don't know. I don't remember actually the name of the river. If you can, we have two Chinese girls. If you can do let us know. And there are so many beautiful, huge Buddha statues and huge temples in mainland China and also in Taiwan. I have been to Taiwan actually. I visited Fo Guang Shan and some other the temples. And of course, Dongguan caves are very famous for their um, beautiful paintings, and India, of course, have a lot of Buddhist monuments still, especially the caves, Ajanta, Ellora, and other Buddhist caves are really, really important places for many people to have a look. And Sri Lanka also, we have very ancient Buddha statues and Bodhisattva statues, and also um, many wonderful temples with a lot of arts. So very interesting. And one of the most useful ideas for this course actually is the Buddhist art and architecture. So that is the visual scriptures that we can find. Buddhism, how it has spreaded local cultures, contributed their own artistic languages. I found it is very fascinating how Buddhism has merged with the local cultures and every country, producing cross-cultural forms shaped by Indian, Greek, Persian, Central Asian, Chinese, and other influences. Every country has different Buddha statues. Every country has different Buddhist art. So local cultures were beautifully amalgamated with the Buddhist teachings. And monasteries and temples also became educational and social centers. I remember when we were little, when we went visited Buddhist temples, we were very happy to go to the temple because there were beautiful paintings. And those paintings were explaining such wonderful moral stories like Jataka tales and life of the Buddha and compassion, generosity, all those beautiful stories. And some of the famous monks and their stories, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, upasakas and upasikas, how they have been portrayed in the Buddhist temples. It's such a beautiful experience, wholesome experience when we visit those temples when we were little. So, Buddhist architecture actually affected not only religious devotion but wider community life as well. So this one is basically important because it connects with the exam question number 2. Buddhist culture spread not only through texts and doctrines, but also through symbols, monuments, pilgrimage sites, artistic styles, and institutions. So it's a very useful article. And then number 2, exploring the Buddhist perspective on gender. This article also is again very important. It talks about the Buddhist teaching of anatta, non-self, because Buddhism actually does not talk about a permanent entity, unchanging essence behind this Sakkaya Ditthi or personal identity. So this article argues that gender should not simply be regarded as an eternal or absolute identity. It then discusses about the philosophical perspective from the actual historical experience of Buddhist communities. And gender, this is very important. Buddhist history developed within a particular social settings. We have to understand that particular time of the Buddha. He had to really make a huge attempt to go against some of those discrimination, some of those social norms. So, so the early Indian texts and later Buddhist, we can see later Buddhist cultures contain assumptions and practices influenced by practical gender norms. So there were not even, women entering the order. Somehow, after a lot of hesitation, Buddha had to give, as Kat rightly mentioned, it was for their own safety because the monks had to live in the forest and it's not easy for their safety. And then the Buddha, after many considerations, he allowed them to stay. And imagine like those, the early group of 500 women who wanted to join the sasana. They were all from the royal family. They didn't know nothing about the forest dwelling, how difficult it is to live under a tree or a cave. Not easy at all. So he was actually, no wonder he was hesitant at the beginning. And for women's safety, he strictly advised the bhikkhunis to live close to the bhikkhus so that one, they can be protected, two, they can also be advised by the monks. This is also part of the monks to take care of the bhikkhunis and offer them ovada every Uposatha day or full moon day. So this discusses about the Pandaka and Ubhatobhyanjanaka. This is also interesting because even in modern days we have this Pandaka and Ubhatobhyanjana. How these people kind of like neutral gender and maybe with the different gender transitions and transformations, how some people have been, you know, have been changed into other opposite gender. And also some were having, by birth, they had some deformations. And for their own life and their own dignity, compassion was the key, and non-discrimination was what the Buddha was talking about in the all throughout his teachings. So for our class, I would say Buddhist doctrine and historical Buddhist culture, you can see the distinction. And then also the existence of historical gender hierarchy does not by itself demonstrate that inequality is a fundamental Buddhist principle. In Buddhism, how Buddha has mentioned, Ithipi Pandita hoti tatta tatta vichakkana. Women can also be wise in many occasions. So many bhikkhunis are there, very wise. For example, Kema was the foremost among the wise bhikkhunis in the bhikkhuni sasana. And there were many bhikkhunis also who have taught Dhamma, who have been able to explain the Dhamma extensively, just like Venerable Sariputta. So Buddha had given them opportunities like titles, honoring their wisdom. Same was the case with the other upasikas. And so just as the bhikkhus and the upasakas, so were the bhikkhunis and the upasikas in the Buddhist order. Really important practice. I mean, that kind of a freedom, that kind of a compassion, that kind of an equality during that time demonstrates how powerful was the fundamental Buddhist principles from the very beginning. So the other one, philosophical examination of Buddhist conception of language and reality. This is more philosophical, actually, of the two language readings. The central question here, can words fully represent reality? We discuss about that, how language, of course, is indispensable, but again, it is limited. We can't express everything through the language. That is very limited. Similar, something like the sweetness. And then the same way Buddhist teachings can also point towards insight, but direct realization cannot be reduced entirely to those verbal descriptions. So this is very important, especially with the concept of Nibbana or Nirvana, such high profile supramundane concepts like Nibbana. It's very hard to explain through these ordinary conceptual descriptions like words. And this article also examines the danger of misrepresentation. We see like a lot of people, they distort the Dhamma, they through a lot of falsehood. Even today we can see many so-called teachers, they try to distort the Dhamma. So using their own way of doing it, so the truthful communication is important, because incorrect or dishonest speech can produce not only misunderstanding but also suffering to many. This is another the problem that we have. And maybe like here we can think of like a classroom formula. Words can point to reality, but words are not identical with reality. It can only point to reality. It's not definitely not identical with reality. Okay, so the final reading. Over here, we can see if language is limited, why did the Buddha teach for approximately 45 years using language? To be honest, if you remember, like the Buddha at the very beginning, he was even hesitant to teach the Dhamma. He was wondering how can these people, lot of people with so much dust in their eyes, see this Dhamma, very profound Dhamma. This is very difficult. One has to be really serious if they want to practice this Dhamma. And eventually he decided, okay, there are some people who are with less dust in their eyes. So for the benefit of those people, he started teaching. Yeah, he started teaching for 45 years, long years, walking tirelessly, working compassionately, and also barefoot walking for hundreds and hundreds of miles all throughout the central India. So the answer here, language can function as a skillful instrument for sure. So the Buddha used teachings, used instructions, and also similes and metaphors. Throughout this teaching, we can see a lot of similes and metaphors. I would suggest you, if any one of you are interested in, maybe write a research paper sometime later on just this subject, about the metaphors and similes of Buddhism. So, for example, the familiar Buddhist image of the raft that we were talking about, how it was compared to the Dhamma. And the article also stresses right speech. We were talking about 4 types of speech: abstaining from false, divisive, harsh, and irresponsible speech. So consequently, Buddhist reflection on language has 2 sides. So samma vacha, and it can also be miccha vacha, the wrong speech. So the epistemological question: how accurately can words represent reality? And ethical question: how should we use words so that they reduce rather than increase suffering? Sometimes, yeah, that is a very sincere question here, very serious question again. Yeah, sometimes it could further escalate your suffering rather than decreasing it if it is not done in the proper way. Some teachings like Abhidhamma, people are not so fascinated about because it looks like a very analytical and deep Dhamma, profound Dhamma. And Sutta studies are more comfortable for many people because they have a lot of stories and all those metaphors, figurative language, and everything is there. But when it comes to Abhidhamma, it is completely very different stereotype is there. Concise and up to the point. Interesting teaching in Abhidhamma. So over here we can also see Buddhism entered culture through words, images, institutions, and human relationships. Somehow Buddhist teaching also invites us to critically examine those limitations that we have. That is also something that we need to think of. Okay, we have much more in the slideshow, but I think I would like to open the discussion again back to you if you have any questions, any comments, anything that you want to add or share on this subject. Any question?
I have a question.
Okay.
It's about when the order of nuns was established. I understand that there had to be two ordinations, one through the bhikkhus and one through the bhikkhunis. And there was a time when, it might have been during Mahinda's time, when they had a conundrum that they did not have both of those present. So I guess my question is, I think they sent for someone from China, or were able to get someone from China to come. So how did it occur then that China had both bhikkhunis and bhikkhus to perform their ordinations, and that I think it was Sri Lanka who did not at that time?
You mean in the recent past?
Yeah, like why did they not have the two already? Did they lose some of that through time? Did they lose some of the
Yes.
order through time, or?
Bhikkhuni order actually survived only few centuries because of the very difficult hardships. I think Mahayana somehow adjusted beautifully, and they somehow were able to survive. But Theravada tradition, they were stuck. They stuck to their difficult and early basic teachings, and also the bhikkhunis living in the forest and under the trees, and with lot of challenges they had, and over time it disappeared. Several centuries it disappeared. And before disappearing, a bhikkhuni group of bhikkhunis led by Bhikkhuni Devasara from Sri Lanka, they went to mainland China. They went to other countries and established bhikkhuni order there. So in 1990s, the latter part of 1990s, I was in India that time. I was studying in Delhi University when this historic um, reincarnation happened. That really wonderful renaissance of Buddhist history. I was very happy to hear that again the bhikkhunis are coming up, and because I always thought bhikkhunis also have a great role to play, and we can play that as male bhikkhus. For example, young girls and other women, when they come to the temple, they find more comfortable to see bhikkhunis. Over here, we have bhikkhus and bhikkhunis in this monastery, and I find it very, and bhikkhuni so organized like a mother to us. And the other bhikkhunis are also like sisters, really nice. And so a lot of people come here seeking, entry into the bhikkhuni order. We have already ordained quite a number of bhikkhunis. And I also would like to mention that every full moon day I give a Dhamma talk to bhikkhunis in the US and Europe and also Australia. So many bhikkhunis join. I can see them growing. Theravada bhikkhuni order. Really nice to see that.
This is wonderful. I believe we have three at Maba also. So we're very
Okay.
lucky. Yes, very
Yeah,
lucky.
Venerable Kongyang and two more, right?
Anshi, and I
Okay.
can't pronounce the third person's name, but
Okay.
all are very, very sweet, and you are correct in saying they're like sisters, and mothers. They're like mothers to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So very.
Yeah, I think the Christian nuns, they have been doing a great job too. How they, like Mother Teresa and many other Christian nuns have played a great role in the West, particularly in the West. And so I see Mahayana bhikkhunis in other countries. In South Korea, I have visited some of those ancient Buddhist monasteries. I even went to some. I went to Songwonsa, a very famous and old temple, like 1500 years old. There were right in the middle of a dense forest. There were 300 of them, monks. And then I went to another Bhikkhuni monastery, another very old one. And it's really wonderful. Like they are so busy, like growing vegetables by themselves. I think that also, like they have a lot of activities right in the middle of the forest. How they survive is truly inspiring. I've met a lot of bhikkhunis in South Korea. Somehow Japan, I think, has not been able to come to still that level, I suppose. Taiwan is doing well, China is doing well, Korea is doing well, and so far as this Mahayana bhikkhunis, also Vietnamese, a lot of bhikkhunis are there in Vietnam. In Vietnam, south and north, they also have Theravada, Mahayana, mostly Mahayana, and Theravada also. And I think there's a forest tradition as well. So beautiful to see all of them and see their passion, their dedication, and their compassion. Truly, truly inspiring.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comment?
I just had a comment or anecdote going back to the subject of Buddhism in art and architecture. So we briefly discussed the idea of visual scripture, the idea that the Dhamma can be transmitted through visual art and that kind of thing. And it number one, I think that's a fascinating idea, but also number two is it reminded me that there was a period in Western philosophy as well. I think they're around the 1600s and 1700s when it was very common for works of philosophy when they were published in book form to be accompanied by a frontispiece, a piece of artwork on the book that was intended not just to be a pretty decoration on the cover, but was actually part of the philosophy itself. And I think I could be wrong about this, but so Thomas Hobbes on his book The Leviathan, I think he is quoted as saying that the core arguments of that book cannot be understood separately from the frontispiece, that he felt it was that important to his ideas in the book that you could not understand it without the artwork. And so anyway, so I just think that idea again of the relationship between art and transmitting a conceptual kind of message is a really fascinating one.
Yeah. One single picture can speak volumes, right? So it's really amazing. And I think art is not only the painting, not only the statues, but also the literature, all entire gamut of literature, chantings, for example, and also all kinds of rituals, processions and decorations and flags and colors, music, everything. So they are all part of the art. So I think Buddhism has contributed to the art in a greater scale throughout the history. It's so wonderful that we have this art everywhere in the world, and even when we go to any city, I like to go to some of the museums wherever I go, and I see some Buddhist arts, Buddha statues. Very ancient Buddha statues also somehow come here, paintings, and they have been preserved here, and a lot of people can be benefited. Yeah. All right. So over here in the chat, I see a lot of chat. Really nice to see you. Oh, the giant Buddha also I can see. Please feel free to share some of them in our WhatsApp group because we won't be able to share it otherwise. And Reverend Narivansa has also sent a longer discussion. Yeah, I like your discussions. Very really appreciate all your discussions, especially in the Moodle. Really nice. It looks really a wonderful, active class. I'm very happy about this. Um, like compared to previous class, I think this is little less in number, but I think number doesn't matter. Quality is very important. So appreciate all of you being part of this class. I hope you enjoy the class today. And so we'll see you tomorrow again at the same time. And before leaving, kindly share the photos, whatever you have, and also let me also actually share the. Do you know how to share the chat? Save the chat? Yeah, you should know.
When you download it, you get the
You
chat.
no, you can just go to the title in the chat. You can see BUCU 13014, and there you can see three dots. You click on it, you save chat.
Oh, good.
That's how you can save the entire chat, but the pictures. So only the text will be saved, not the picture. So pictures have to be downloaded separately. So please do that. Okay, Sianan, you have been to Sichuan? Are you from Sichuan?
Yeah, I went there 3 weeks ago. I
Oh,
went to
wow.
see the Leshan giant Buddha. It's amazing. I took a boat, and
Oh,
the boat went to the center of the river, and we can see the whole Buddha.
wow. What is the name of that river? Hoangho?
I
No?
forget the name of
Come
the river.
on.
I only remember the name of the Buddha,
Okay.
Leshan. That's the name
Now,
of the city.
now you have to Google that, okay? Maybe you
Yeah, I'll
can,
Google.
maybe if you are from China, you can deep search. Deep seek,
Yeah.
right?
Jialing Jiang, probably Jialing River.
Okay.
It's
You,
not just one river. This like two rivers meet together.
it's a massive river too.
Yeah, it's
Yishuan, are you
amazing.
also from China?
Yeah, originally from China. I went back to China with my son during the summer. I also went to Dunhuang to see the caves, Buddhism
Wow.
caves.
I really want to visit Donghuan one day and also this giant Buddha.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I talk about it, I was so excited.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thank you, everyone, then. With that, we conclude today's class.
So
Um,
Venerable
Are we
to
meeting at 5:30 Central Time tomorrow instead of 6:30
yeah,
Central
6:30.
Time?
that's a good question. I have a teaching like 3 hours again in the daytime. That is 1 to 4, right? 1 to 4. Then yeah, I think we still can do it. Do you prefer 5:30? Okay.
Yes, I do.
I
Okay.
like 5:30. If you
Okay.
can do it, if you can do it. So
I can do it.
If
Like
everybody else likes it.
Yeah, no objection.
Bante, tomorrow I have lunch dana outside because in USA 6:30, here 11:30 a.m.
11:30 a.m. Your lunchtime.
Yeah, lunchtime tomorrow I will be late 1 hour.
Okay, so 6:30 Central Time is your time 11:30? Is that so?
Yes.
Okay. So 6:30. So
Today
we
starts 6:30, no?
how about 5:30?
I think 6:30, okay, 5:30 more earlier. Then I miss.
5:30 you will miss?
Yeah, yes.
I mean, we can still, it doesn't matter to me. I just need to know what time. 6:30, I can make work. It's no problem
Same.
for me.
Okay,
same.
then we'll meet at 6:30. Okay.
Abdallah, does that work for you too?
Well, in my case, it's just an hour. It's either 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. So it doesn't really matter to me.
Wait,
So
wait a minute. For him, it is 2 a.m.
well,
Wow,
you can see, Venerable One, that it's nighttime. So now it's the sun is coming up.
that's amazing. I really appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of this class. Well, what should we do then? Like, should we like maybe like change like half an hour then? How about 6 then? Okay. Venerable, is that okay?
Okay, Bante, I will try my best.
Okay. All
Thanks,
right.
Bart.
Then we'll see you 6 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central Time.
Central Time.
Okay. Thank you. Have a
Bye.
wonderful, peaceful night and day to all of you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.